teacher to teach 3 different groups.
Right.
And then you're also expecting that teacher to work with those different attitudes. And you're also expecting that teacher to be the judge when they need to be a disciplinarian in that classroom.
Right.
Things aren't going to go well. So as a
That's
parent, I think you should go down to that school sometimes, whether they have 1 class or if they have 5 classes, and visit those classrooms. Go and visit those counselors.
Right.
I think that you should be able to, that principal
Mm-hmm.
and that dean,
Mm-hmm.
they need to know who you are. At my daughter's school,
Mm-hmm.
they know Carla Washington. It could be a good way or it could be a bad way. It's up to you how you deal with it. When her report card comes, if it don't look right,
Mm-hmm.
I'm questioning, because my daughter brings home her work and it looks like A and B work.
Okay.
So when her report card says it's a C, we need to discuss that, because I don't see C work.
Right.
And they know me now.
Okay.
They see me. She got the report card in hand. Oh no, this ain't a secretary problem. I think we were about to call the principal. Yes, please call.
Right.
And I'll wait right here.
That's good. That's good. We need more parents like you.
I don't know about all that, but we need more parental involvement.
Okay. When you brought up something about statistics, I have a little statistic chart that I found, which is very interesting as well. And it says, are children being pushed into prison? The pipeline to prison. The U.S. has the highest incarceration rate in the world, and its prisons and jails are overwhelmingly filled with African Americans and Latinos. The path to prison for young African American and Latino men are many, but the starting points are often the school and the foster care system. From school to prison, students of color face harsher discipline and are more likely to be pushed out of school than whites. But before I go any further, I want to reiterate, I am not a racist by any means. I am just focusing on something that touched home and is something that is affecting our community.
You just giving out true facts. That's it.
I don't want nobody saying I'm a racist.
No, just giving out the facts.
Okay, 40% of students expelled from the U.S. school each year are Blacks. 70% of students involved in in-school arrests or referred to law enforcement are Black or Latinos. 3.5 Black students are 3.5 times more likely to be suspended than whites. Then you have 2 times Black and Latino students are twice as likely to not graduate than white high school students. We have 68% of all males in state and federal prisons do not have a high school diploma at all. Then speaking from the foster care to prison population, youth of color are more likely than whites to be placed in the foster care system, a breeding ground for the criminal justice system. 50% of children in the foster care system are Blacks and or Latinos. 30% of the foster care kids are entering the juvenile justice system and are placed related behavior cases, as Carla mentioned before. 25% of young people leaving foster care will be incarcerated within a few years after turning 18. 50% of them are leaving foster care will be unemployed within a few years after turning 18. 70% of inmates in California state prisons are former foster care youth. And it's a growing population in every state. It's not only in California, it's here in Nevada. We have the lowest graduation stats here in the U.S., which is very sad to say.
That's true.
You know, a disturbing national trend where our children are being funneled out of public schools and into the juvenile and criminal justice systems. Most of the children have learning disabilities or dealing with poverty, abuse, or even neglect. These children will benefit from additional services such as mentoring, educational, and counseling services instead of they are being isolated, punished, and even pushed out. Black students, particularly Black males, are most likely to be suspended, expelled, and referred to law enforcement. School to prison pipeline has been well documented for middle and high school students. Black teenagers are forced out of school onto the streets and ultimately becoming trapped in the revolving door of crime and incarceration. Also, the U.S. Department of Education office released new data for civil rights revealed that thousands of Black preschool students are also being suspended from our nation's public schools. Black students comprise about 18% of preschool students. They represent half of the students suspended multiple times. You know, that's very alarming. Very, very alarming. Having worked in the prison system, I've seen a lot of young Black males and Black females that are behind prison walls. A lot of it is because cycle. This is something that they've seen, their environment. A lot of it is not having their parents there, having their grandparents having to raise them. And, some of our grandparents are elderly and they can't keep up with them young kids. So, it's hard, and they do end up either repeating the cycle or worse, 6 feet under.
Right.
There are a couple of mentoring programs out here in the community. One that I know of is Saving Our Sons. They're doing a tremendous job with the young men in the community. John Ponder, as well, is doing a lot of good things, great things for ex-felons that are actually getting out of prison. He's doing a lot of stuff for them as well. You have different mentoring programs such as ours, which is It's Okay to Be Different, who is actually stepping up and doing something. We have Carla, like herself, going into the schools and trying to make a great difference in our young kids' lives. And I want to thank you. And also I want to thank the teachers that are actually going above and beyond what they're supposed to do as far as, with the students coming in early or staying after school to help tutor the kids, even taking their own personal money out, to buy supplies that they need for the students in class. So I do want to give a special shout out to those people that are actually going above and beyond and actually doing something for our community.
That's right. There's a lot of them out there. You got Bully Busters.
Okay.
He's out there. You've got our political leaders that are out there as well that you can always ask to come and show support. They will do that. You have our local radio station. You have Power 88. Mm-hmm. You can ask DJ Thumper, any one of them at any given time. Mm-hmm. They'll come out. You have a lot of our programs, athletic programs. You've got Steve Smith that works with the youth in football.
Okay.
You've got Lady Di. She has a program for young ladies that teaches them about personal hygiene and different things like that for themselves.
Oh, that's great.
It's so many, but yet and still, it still seems like it's not
enough. Right.
You have people that you wouldn't even think of. You have a motorcycle community out here who at any given time of a call will come out and do whatever they have to do because these kids are them.
Right.
It's just, unfortunately, it's not enough. And this preschool to pipeline, it's real and nobody really pays attention to it. And it's like, what is the reason?
Right.
Because it's lack of funding that we have, that our kids aren't doing better. You got overcrowdedness.
Right.
Like I said, you've got 30, 35 students in a classroom.
Mm-hmm.
Not enough counselors. I can give information to a counselor who doesn't even have the time to disperse that information to students who are about to graduate.
And that's sad.
That's real sad.
Yeah, that's sad.
You've got extra things that these kids could be doing, but what you're doing is you're investing more money in outside policing instead of giving the job to the administrators and the teachers.
Right.
Who you have underqualified police officers.
Say it again.
They don't know how to deal with these children. I don't have a degree in counseling, and I deal with the kids because it's real to me. And why is it real to me? Because I was them.
Right.
I was a dropout. I did get bad grades. I did come from that broken home.
Right.
All of those things that they're going through now, I did that. So when I'm dealing with them, I deal with them based on how somebody should have dealt with me.
Right.
And a lot of it is, don't approach me like I'm a criminal, like I'm coming to do something to you. First, find out what's wrong with me. Help me.
Mm-hmm. And I totally agree with that. I honestly agree with that. I was reading on something about there was a child who had mental issues, behaviors, and he had an outbreak in class. Instead of letting the child calm down because he wasn't on any medication. He wasn't, sometimes parents don't want to say, okay, my child is ADHD or my child is this, my child is that. But they think that the community's going to look down on them. So that child wasn't taking any medications. So what happened was the teacher pushed the child out of class. The campus school police came, tackled the kid down like he was a criminal, like he done stole somebody's bike or something. Had him down, face down in the ground, handcuffing him. All because he had a breakdown.
Yeah, a meltdown, needing his medication.
Right. And like I said, and he was treated like a criminal. And that's sad because now that child has that in the back of his mind. So whenever he goes to do something, he's going to be afraid. And then when we was growing up, we was taught the police is our friend. So you go tell the police, hey, this happened, this happened, this happened. Now in our kids' minds, they think, oh, all police are bad.
Exactly.
And don't get me wrong, we do have good police and we do have bad police. We have good and bad in every profession here. But the point is that the kids now are afraid to even approach the police because they don't know how they're going to react or what kind of reaction they're going to get from them.
And for the most part, our community, people of color, we don't see enough of the good of police.
Right.
We see the bad.
Right.
I can drive down one of the streets in my community, and if a policeman is pulled over, somebody, all doors are open, trunk is up, hood is up, they're out of the car and their hands are placed on top.
Right.
That's automatic.
Right.
But you can go into another community, they're sitting with their seatbelt on and they're looking out the window and they're having a good old conversation.
Laughing, talking.
And you might not even get a ticket or whatever.
Right.
I mean, what is the difference and what has happened? And what can we do as a community to stop it?
Right.
I mean, I know, because it makes me boil. Sometimes I want to pull over and be like, what happened?
Right.
I want to make sure that person you pull
being
over
treated
leaves,
fairly. Right.
They're being treated fairly and that they live when this is over with.
Right. And it's true. And this is why it's so important to me to bring awareness to our community. This is why I do what I do. Because we have many young people, and these young people are our future. Mm-hmm. And me personally, I know I don't want the president of my United States to be serving his country behind prison walls.
Right.
I want him to be out and be able to, live in the White House. But until we step up as a community and take a child or maybe two under our wings and show them, hey, this is the way. You don't have to act out. You don't have to sag your pants. You don't have to do those things to get attention. Right. You can always get positive attention from people that actually care and that's been there, done that, what you're trying to do, but try to save you from going down in the same road that they're going into.
And we need our village to come back together.
Yes.
And a lot of times the village needs to also be the voice with the school district to say, we're trying to take back our children with or without your help.
Right.
There are several people that are willing to go down and be that middle person to assist with some of our students, but they have to be able to do it.
Right.
Parents, you have to be able to speak with your child. You know the type of children that you have.
True.
I mean, just recently, last day of school, they had a lockdown at the school that I work at. I got a few calls. Hey, what's going on? They're not answering the phone. When you got every parent calling down to find out what's going on, I'm gonna need you to not call.
Right.
I need you to because those administrators, they need to be settling the situation down, but they can't do that answering the phone.
Right.
Last day of school is known as, they gonna fight, they gonna do whatever. It's something that's been going on since I was in school.
Right.
Listen to your children's conversation.
Mm-hmm. Be nosy.
Be nosy. Be all up in it. My daughter, and I do think she's a little too young, but she has a cell phone. I'm in that phone.
Right.
I want to see who's texting her. I want to see who's calling her. And when I didn't know how to read the history, I had a sister and I had a friend who was like in her phone looking up what she was looking at. And I was like, oh, really? That's what you're looking at?
Right.
For real?
Right.
I was very shocked.
Yeah.
But now she knows. My mama's on it.
That's right. That's good. We need more.
For anything. These parents need to take back their children,
right?
Because you're sending your children to school doing things that they really shouldn't be doing, and then we get mad sometimes at the teachers because they can't handle it.
Right.
These kids is cussing teachers out. They being disrespectful to them and the like. I don't tolerate it. Right. I'm Mama Carla, and I think your mama might have to come up here after you because I'm gonna get you. You're not gonna disrespect me. So I might get fired today.
Right.
I'm not gonna let that happen.
Not today.
Not today. And tomorrow don't look good for you either.
Huh. It's funny because, when we was coming up in our communities, we acted up and acted out in the streets. Our neighbors tapped that. And then when we got home, open that door, you got it again.
And when you went to church, they talked about you.
Right. And Bear, you sat right on the first pew in church.
Yep.
But we need to bring that sense of community back. Like you said, it takes a village to raise a child. Like I said, there's a lot of single parents, and I'm not knocking single parents, but there's a lot of single parents out there that have to work to provide for their children. So sometimes that parent don't have all that time to spend with their kids because they're out trying to provide a roof and food for them.
Right.
So when we have somebody else like Carla or someone like Josh Brown or someone like DJ Thumb, and so when we have people like that in our community that's willing to step up and assist you, don't be ashamed to ask for it.
Don't be ashamed.
Don't be ashamed and say, okay, yes, I need help. Please, I need help. It takes a big person to step up and say, yes, I need help,
That is what you just said right now. I think is probably one of the most important things is that sometimes people are embarrassed to open up. I go by the philosophy that a closed mouth don't get fed.
Say it again.
It really doesn't. I know the beginning of the school year, I didn't have all the funds together for my daughter to go to school. And it was a gentleman that put out on Facebook that it was laid on his heart to help somebody.
Okay.
That whatever they needed, school supplies or whatever, reach out to him by way of inbox.
Right.
I did. I was open, I was honest, and he actually, I think he was shocked that it was coming from me. He made a few phone calls to a couple of people who said, no, she's straight up and down. If she asks for help, she needs help. He not only provided school clothes for Kennedy, he bought school supplies, shoes. And he didn't want to be known. He didn't want me to put his name out because I'm all over Facebook. I'll tag you. He didn't want to be known.
Okay.
All he said from me was, all I want is a picture of her on the first day of school.
Aww.
So there are people out there.
Right.
But had I have been like, shoot, I'm Carla Washington, I ain't asking for no help. She gonna wear them same clothes that she had last semester, which she can't fit anymore because they're too tight, and we gonna work it out. Oh, no. If you offering help, I'm gonna let you know I need that help. Right. And that's what needs to happen. People need to stop being so prideful.
Yes.
And step out, because you never know who could offer help. I don't have a whole lot of money, but let you ask me for some help, even if it's for me, because Kennedy has grown again, me giving you her last semester's clothes.
Right.
And I'm not too above for anybody to offer me clothes that they have for their child that they wore last year for Kennedy. Can she wear them now? You better put them in a box. Right.
Send them on over.
Right.
Send them on over.
Or I'll run myself over and I'll get them.
Right.
That's what has to happen. I mean, I have a small village that I can call when Kennedy might get sick or when I can't get to certain places. Now, they're in priority of who it is. Right. She has her grandmother here. I have my friend Belinda, who I might call. I have a friend who I might call. Right. There are people that I make sure that I call, that I trust, and that my daughter's comfortable in being with. Okay. There's nobody in my immediate village that my daughter's not comfortable with. So I'm not going to send somebody. I know you, I trust you, but unfortunately, I wouldn't send you because she doesn't know who you are. Right. But I make sure I keep myself updated on people that I'm not just calling because I need you right now. Kennedy interacts with you. And also, if something was to happen and she's to get out of line, you need to check my daughter. And if somebody got to check you, Kennedy, you're going to get checked too when I see you. How about that?
Yeah, because that's how it was back in the day. We did that. Well, that happened to us. So we stepped out of line. But, sad to say, nowadays you can't do that. Nowadays. Yeah. Scared of them. Or they want to be friends with their kids.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's easy to do. It is easy to do. So you have to sometimes have a fine line. And I don't mean to cut you off. My daughter's 9. And sometimes things that happened in my life when I was growing up, I try not to let that happen. So I try to let her be a free spirit and speak her mind. And she speaks her mind. But at the end of the day, I'm your mama. Be careful what you say to me. Right. And that also plays a huge part is you know, people are being friends with their kids. You going to clubs with your kids.
No, I can't.
You know, we talking about what's going on with you. Oh no, we can't do that. You're my child.
Right. But you see it happen though. It happens on a daily. Yep, it happens.
People are afraid of their kids too. Nowadays, you got, I mean, you talking back to your parents, you got kids hitting their kids. And I'm not gonna say that my daughter, when she gets to a certain age, can never take me down, but I'm gonna probably have to kill her if she that's gonna be the
for Kennedy.
Right. Because you're just not gonna hit me and think it's okay.
But talking on that, now where you saying that the parents are afraid, you do have now where the government or the state is trying to get involved in parenting. How are you going to tell me how to discipline my child? If I'm not beating him, or he's not going around big knots out his head or mouth busted, then leave me alone. He's being fed. He has a roof over his head.
Exactly.
Don't step into my territory as a parent, because you would rather me to discipline my child than to have the state correction officers or law enforcement officers to correct my child
in the way that they correct your child. And I'm a firm believer that I don't think when people I've been told you shouldn't, you know, you're not supposed to do this, you know, you're not supposed to do that. Well, you know what? I had this girl. I almost lost my life having this girl. So I'm gonna do whatever it takes to make sure that she does what she needs to do under my care and under my supervision, and make sure that she's a respectable young lady, the best that I know how. No, I'm not bouncing my daughter off the wall. She's not getting sucked and slapped in the mouth. None of that is happening to her. But my daughter is very respectful, and it makes it puts a smile on my face, and I get a little prideful in the chest when people tell me, "I'll take your child anywhere." She's very well mannered. My daughter will look you in the eye. She says yes. She says please. She says excuse me when she gets into your personal space. She will shake your hand. And we learn proper ways of affection. You're not supposed to hug everybody.
That's true.
You shake their hand.
Or sit on everybody's lap.
And you don't sit. No, you don't sit on lap. That lap is gone.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you got cousins and uncles and all kind of things that go on nowadays. No, don't sit on nobody's lap.
Yes.
Because things do happen. But I am a firm believer in correcting my child on my own. And it's my business how I chastise her. And my daughter is disciplined. I don't make no bones in admitting that. The way I discipline her is the best way that it is possible. Sometimes it is turn that TV off for the entire day. Sometimes it is
take
get off
that
the
cell phone.
And sometimes it is we need to go take a visit in the bedroom. With me.
But you know, we need that back. But again, I want to reiterate, and it's bad because it's happening everywhere. Let parents be parents. Let parents discipline and take care of their child. As long as there's no abuse going on, let them do it. Because I read a story a couple of days ago where a young man missed curfew. Now, you know, back in the day, if we missed curfew, you getting locked out the door. If the lights,
anything was wrong with it.
If the lights came on, you been in the house. But this young man didn't come home like mama said come home. She locked the door.
And she ended up in jail.
Yeah, and he slept outside on the concrete, called the police. She goes to jail. He writes a report on her. Now, come on now.
And if you read that story further, and if you ask her, she's had problems with him previously. So what is she to do? What is she to do? I mean, there has to be a little bit of give and take. I think that was light what she did.
Yeah, and I don't think there was nothing wrong with it.
Because you would rather spend a night out on the concrete than to come up in this house. Because you're not going to be able to lay down on that bed.
You would rather deal with that than having to deal with the fact that someone telling you when you can eat, when you can go to sleep, you know, when you can go to the bathroom, when you can take a shower. You will want, me personally, I will want that. You know, okay, mom, okay, you know, you told me this, okay. Then I don't want to have to sleep on a hot cot, you know, a flat mattress, a half-inch thick. Then you sell blocks, and you know, and who's to say that you're gonna have a clean celly?
But these kids today, they don't believe that fat meat is greasy.
They take life so lightly. You know, they laugh about it, and I tell my boys, if you don't care about yourself, why should you expect anybody else to care about you?
Exactly.
If you don't care about your education, why should you expect anybody else to care about your education? They have their education. They teaching what they have to teach. You know, they getting paid for it.
And you know, it's funny because I was a hard head going to school. And I can remember my teachers telling me that same thing. I've got my education.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember being a smart mouth. I used to fight the principal. I used to fight boys. I was horrible. And I can remember some teachers that used to tell me there's more to you than what it was. But a lot of people didn't know what I was going through
Right.
as a young student. They didn't know I didn't live with my mother. I didn't live with my father. They didn't know that I had been in foster homes.
Right.
They didn't know I was living with my boyfriend in a garage at 16 years old.
Yeah.
I was an adult in my mind.
Right.
And then I'm supposed to get up, go to school, and listen to a teacher who is talking to me in my mind any kind of way anyway.
Right.
It wasn't until I finally had a light switch moment, being 36 years old and being a single parent, that I realized education really is the way.
It is.
I still am the same, Carla,
Mm-hmm.
but with education, I deal with things a little different.
Okay.
I know that there's so much more to life. I mean, you know, I'm not the smartest
Right.
one in the classroom, but I'm able to get some information that I never had before that I should have had a long time ago.
Right.
And I wouldn't have had to beat my head for 20 years working in jobs that only paid me minimum wage.
Yes. Yes.
That, you know, never really getting the respect that I knew that I deserved. Now, I mean, I can't walk up to the doorsteps of the White House, but I can pretty much anything that I need, I can call somebody that may know someone and know what to do to get things to happen.
Right. Right.
That I never really thought that I could do before. I know that I do have rights. So when I do get pulled over now, I don't get that nervous feeling like I used to.
But that's the key, education.
I'm looking around the car, making sure everything is intact. I don't do that now.
Right. Education. You know? Education is the key. Whether it's educating yourself on knowing the policies and procedures of your child's school, whether it's the laws on the street, anything. Educate yourself, because education, it'll go a long way. That's one thing.
Resources.
Right. That's one thing no one can ever take away from you, is your education.
No, you can't take away my diploma, which I worked hard.
I want you to show us a little bit about your transcript you brought here for show and tell.
Okay.
We're going to talk about this little transcript we got.
No, it ain't no. When I went to school back in the day, tearing up the office. I don't know. Can you
see a little bit?
Really see.
Just go ahead and read a little bit.
Okay.
Top.
I went to school in Oxnard. I went to Channel Islands High, and I graduated with a 1.45 GPA after I went to independent study. I was getting D's and F's. I was getting an F in typing, D's in PE, and F's in track and field. Of course, I got D's and F's in history and math, which to me, it's kind of like it's ironic that I'm a math tutor right now.
Right.
I mean, that's really kind of crazy. This semester right here, I didn't even go to school, and so the question is, who was looking out for me? Who was looking? And Carla didn't even go to school that semester.
Right,
Nobody was looking at all. I mean, or that would have never happened.
No records received.
There were no records. I mean, you go to school for 4 years. Of course, this is 5. I was supposed to graduate in 87. I graduated in 88 after I went to independent study. And what was happening to me was there was no one that was following up on me. I didn't have any parental involvement. There were a couple of people at school. I knew the office secretary very well. She knew what I was doing. She knew when I was in her office. That meant I was in there every day, all day. I wasn't in school. Just leaving my boyfriend's house. You know, I was really running. I was running amok. And there was nothing that caught my attention. There were a few teachers, and I can remember them. I can remember Miss Stuckey, who was jobs 1 and 2, and she knew there was more to me than what I knew. You know, I mean, I'm getting all these D's and F's, but I can look and see that I got a B in jobs because I didn't want to disappoint Miss Stuckey. she invested a lot of time in me, even if it was to say, how's it going today?
Right.
What's going on?
That goes a long way.
And that goes a long
way. You never know what anybody's going through from day to day. You never know what the kids are facing at home. You don't know if they're eating at home. You don't know if they even have a home to go to.
If they even have a home to go to. Because there's a lot of students now that are homeless. I used to say that if I could, if they were alive, there were a few administrators and teachers, if they were alive, who I would want to say thank you, and to also show them both of the degrees that I have now.
You go, girl.
With my AA and with my BA, to say that, it took me 20 years, but you were right.
But you got
there was more to me.
That's right.
than what I knew. And that's kind of like what I do now. I can look at children and see they're out there and they're running amok, but there's so much more to them. But you never know, because you only get just that small amount of time with them in a day. Right. And so I try to make it work. I ain't trying to be your best friend. I'm just trying to make an impact on you, to tell you there's a little more. Right. The young ladies of today that I see now, some of them, it's body image.
Yeah, because they see it on TV, they see it on the videos,
and they want to look like that.
That's how they're supposed to get a guy.
That that some of your peers have. You don't look like some of your peers. I used to weigh 300 pounds. I know what it's like. Right. I can remember being obese in high school. Right. And so how did I get by? I was a bully. I was that class clown. Okay. I can remember certain students that I used to, every day, I was their worst enemy. Okay. And I wish I could apologize to them. And it wasn't anything they did. It was what was going on with me. Right. I'm trying to get the focus on you and get it off on me. Right. Because I don't want you to notice that I'm hungry. Right. I don't want you to notice I'm not wearing the clothes I want, that I'm not looking the way I want. But you expect me to focus on school? Yeah. And my mother's not worried about where I am. My mother's somewhere else. Yeah. And that's just, what you experience is a lot of what some of our children are experiencing now in the community. They don't have their parents. They're in foster care. So a lot of them feel, oh, my parents not there. They don't care for me. So, why should I care? Working with the young man, when I was working at the Gene prison, he came into my unit and he said, I watch him. I usually watch everybody. They always tell me I'm so nosy. He's so nosy, man. Say, go sit down somewhere. But that was my purpose, to make sure they were safe and to make sure that the officers were safe. But this one particular young man, he came in there, and then I started seeing him withdraw, stay into his cell, wouldn't do anything. So I called him to say, hey, come here. So he came over. So we talking. So what's wrong with you? I don't know nothing, anything. I said, yes, it is. Something wrong with you. You're not the same. How you know? I said, I watch you. Come on. What's going on? Tell me. So he goes, I don't want to send it around nobody else. I don't want nobody else hearing it. I said, okay, come on, we'll go here in the caseworker's office. So we went to the caseworker's office. Long story short, we started talking. And he started telling me both his parents are incarcerated. Mama was at Smiley Road. Daddy was at the High Desert. So I'm talking to him. I said, want me to make something happen where you can reach out to your parents, talk to them? No, I don't want to talk to them. I said, why? He said, because they weren't there for me. I said, what do you mean they weren't there? Mama was too busy getting high. Daddy was too busy selling, so they never had time for me. He goes, that's why I'm here today. He said, because I had to steal for me and my sister to eat. I had to steal so we can have somewhere to lay. That's real.
And I was like, wow. And when he told me that, I had goosebumps go all up my arms, because that was sad. And then prior to him getting released, he came to me and he said, Miss A, he said, can I go home with you? I said, no. I said, boy, I can't have you at the house. To lose my money. I got to eat too. I said, but you can make a promise to me though. Promise me that you'll never come back to this place ever again. I said, because if you do, you're going to have hell to pay. He goes, okay. And so I don't know what a young man is. So if you're out there listening, Miss A's doing fine. I hope you doing fine. And you can reach out to us. It's okay to be different. But I hope he's doing okay. But yeah, that story, it touched me, because you never know what kids are going through.
And you don't know why they do what they do, because he just said it right there. He had to steal just to survive. Right. And I can relate to that. I totally can relate to that. I mean, it's it's survival.
Right, survival skill to kick in.
Right. And it happens, and you can't you have to look at it like this. His mother was incarcerated. His father was incarcerated. And so now he has animosity against them. But guess what? They also have a story. Right. See, I could sit there and explain why I do what I do to my daughter. And I can admit I don't care for my mother. I appreciate her, but I don't care for her. But if somebody was to probably sit down with her, she could share her story of struggle as well. Right. My mom grew up Black and Mexican.
Okay.
In the 50s, poor. I mean, that in itself was a struggle.
Right.
I don't condone the things that she put me through.
Right.
But she could say, this is why this happened to me.
Everybody has a story.
Everybody has a story.
Everybody has a story.
And then you take it back up the pipeline to her mother.
Right.
And then my mother's father. So it's like we can keep going back, but when does someone stop?
We have to break the cycle. We have to break the cycle.
You have to stop at some place. And so that young man, at some point, he's gonna have to stop and say,
enough is enough, right?
Enough is enough.
Right.
Otherwise, it's gonna keep continuing on. And people that interact with him are going to have to help him.
Right. And he has to surround himself around positive people. That's one of the good things about mentoring. You have mentoring programs. Surround yourself around positive men, surround yourself around positive women. Someone that can teach you and tell you no, or tell you when you're wrong.
Right. And hopefully relate to you,
right.
which is important. I think that we have, I think that anyone that wants to help is great and it's accepted. But it's more impactful when that person that's helping looks like me and can kind of relate to me. I always say, you have people that will volunteer and it's like, oh, I'm a aerospace something or other. I'm a pilot, and I come from, I went to, Yale,
XYZ, right.
I lived in Beverly Hills and I'm coming down here to speak to these inner city school kids. How are they relating to you? You don't know anything about struggle. Or you have someone, maybe even like me, who you don't know what my background is. So when you tell me it's hard to pass this class, tell me how hard.
Right. Look at my transcript. My transcript.
When you tell me that you don't have clothes, that that are the latest style. I still don't have the latest style. So let me understand what the problem is.
Mm-hmm. Kids are so stuck on fashion, Coach bags and what have you, but.
And they got no job.
Right. Nails, nice phones.
Nail done,
but the thing is, what they're missing, the total picture. The total picture is education. Mm-hmm. The total picture is staying out of trouble. And to realize that it's okay to be different. It's okay to say no. It's okay to say, hey, I'm going to wear my pants one leg black, one leg blue. But it's okay because you're finding your own identity.
Exactly.
And it's okay for you to have purple hair and green stripes upside your head, but that's you. That's your identity. As long as you're not going out in the community causing any harm or havoc to anybody,
right.
Or as long as you're getting your education, you have your 3.2 or 3.4 grade point GPA, that's okay, because it's okay to be different.
It's okay.
And another thing we want to talk about here, we're going to go back to the zero tolerance policy. I'm going to ask you, Carl, so do you think that the policy in place assists or hinders our youth?
It hinders them because it forces these kids down that pipeline.
Right.
The zero tolerance policy, like I said before, it was stated for when it was put in place for when children brought weapons, mm-hmm. or when you had drug related incidents.
Right.
Now it's for anything. Everything. And I'll even say this. Let's say that two kids get into a fight.
Mm-hmm.
That's a zero policy. So if the person that started it, they hit your child, right. And your child hits them back,
right.
They get suspended as well.
Oh, believe me, I know.
have a huge problem with that.
I do too.
Because my child is getting suspended.
Right.
Because she has been taught.
Defend yourself.
And Lord, please don't. Y'all don't. But if you touch my child, she has been ordered to take your face off.
But what's so much as that? I don't like the RPC rule. I don't like that where everybody's get kicked out, because what happens when the child is being bullied by somebody? Finally gets tired of it. There's enough is enough. What happens when a child goes to the teacher and say, hey, Johnny over here keeps messing with me. Johnny keeps doing this to me. Johnny keeps threatening me. Johnny's putting stuff on Facebook or Twitter about me. And the teacher or the dean or the principal doesn't do anything about it.
Right.
So now you have this child who feels, okay, I'm all alone, and she's reaching out to her parents, because some kids do tell their parents, some kids don't. But what happens when a child goes and she didn't reach out to every avenue that she has, and now she's alone because she feels nobody on her right side, nobody's on her left side, or front or back is protecting her.
And now she's
and so now she has to,
everybody is
right
is picking on your child.
So now she goes to defend herself. So when she goes to defend herself, why is it, and I think it's wrong, why should she be, reprimanded for protecting herself or defending herself? I don't think that she should be in trouble at all, because first of all, nobody stepped up to protect her, and it is the school's responsibility when the school's on property that they are to make sure that every child is safe. Read your NRS as parents, educate yourself. It does state that the school is supposed to protect your child while on school grounds.
Well, and what happens is you omit the practice for due process,
right,
with the zero tolerance policy. Sometimes, and it happens in life where me and you can have a disagreement or whatever, and there is a way that we can work through that. With a zero tolerance policy, you don't have an opening for that, for you to sit down and find out, well, what's going on here and what happened here. All we know is Susie hit Katrina and Katrina hit Susie, so they're both expelled, which now you've got these kids at home, at a school, and guess what? I'm a single parent, so I have a small village. I said, so if my village ain't available to watch Kennedy, Kennedy's left at home unsupervised to do whatever it is that she feels like she must do anyway. Let's say my child is the bully. So now she's at home unsupervised. Do you think she's going to stay in the house?
No, she's going to be out bullying somebody else.
She's going to be out on the street, or she's going to be doing something else, which now causes her to be in trouble, and she probably will get arrested and move herself on down that pipeline, when we can maybe figure out through administrators and teachers and the parent, and the parent, because the parent has to be involved in this, what the alternative is and how to solve this situation, and get these kids back on the right path before they're in this. Or go ahead.
Once you said that, parents, but you had failed to realize you do have parents out there that don't really care. You have parents that, for instance, I've been told, because like I said, my cousin works for a Mojave, and he deals with the students that are, I guess, according to the community, they can't be helped. But when you send in letters to parents and letting them know, hey, Sally or Johnny or whoever is acting out, we need a parent-teacher conference, can you come in? Parent no call, parent no show. So what do? You send another letter. Same thing happens. Then you send a third letter. Nothing still happens. So now when your kid gets kicked out of school, now the parent wants to show up, wants to call. Hey, why you kick my child out of school? Or, why is she not at school? Why? What's going on? But when they sent from point A, when they sent that letter out to you, reaching out to you, you didn't show up.
There has to be, first of all, I think that we need to have educated, experienced people coming in and being a liaison between the parent and the teachers and administrators and the students. It has to happen, because you're right. You do get parents that don't care. I have seen firsthand parents that'll come in, sit down with the dean, and go off on the dean on how they've dealt with the child or whatever, and you don't even know really what's
going on.
You're just as, we see why we're having behavioral problems with Sally.
Mama, look at Mama.
Mama looked like she just came in from the club. Mama's cussing. She's going off. And everything that child has said has been turned around to make it seem like that child has been misused and mistreated. And that hasn't actually been the case. You need to have, like I said, you need to have folks that can come in and be that middle person, that middleman.
You need that mediation.
I'm not the know-it-all, but I know at the school that I go to, which is Mojave, any of my friends or anyone that I know that has a child that goes there, you ask me a question, and I'm going to give you my honest opinion. And I'm going to speak to you based on what I see and what I know. Doesn't mean it's right, but it's what I see and what I know. And there have been times where I do see some of them students. I know your mama don't make Don't make me call her, because we know somebody down here. And a lot of administrators don't realize that there are those parents that will come on down there.
Right.
But it doesn't happen.
Well, we're getting close to the end of our show. It has been a pleasure for Carla to come in and talking to us today. Before we go, I want to let everyone know that It's Okay to Be Different is having their penny drive starting today. So if you would like to drop off some pennies here at 820 South 7th Street, you may do so, or even you may drop them off at the Cut on 7700 North Jones Boulevard. You can also drop it off there and ask for Annette. Again, I want to thank you for tuning in to our show. Stay blessed, and we will meet again next Saturday from 12 to 1. Thank you. Thank you, Carla.
Thank you.